this morning, an NYPD officer landing on the wrong side of the law. Police say 39-year-old Angelica Torres is facing assault and child endangerment charges. This following a domestic incident. We're told Torres was off duty when she was arrested yesterday. The exact details, though, of the incident not released just yet.
Audio recordings from land defenders captured the RCMP laughing and comparing the women to evil characters from the Lord of the Rings. The RCMP also mocked the women for wearing red handprints on their face, a symbol of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Justice Taman said the RCMP's racist comments breached the charter rights of Wing Chief Slato Molly Wickham, Shaylin Sampson, and Corey Jocko. He also said the RCMP used chainsaws to illegally break into structures without warrants and showed there were systemic issues with the RCMP's pipeline enforcement unit. Justice Michael Taman says the RCMP's misconduct findings still don't warrant a stay of charges against the land defenders, but they will now receive reduced sentences for criminal contempt, a move the Supreme Court judge saw as appropriate.
Questioning how officers handled a hit-and-run accident involving a police department employee.
That driver left the scene of the accident, and this was all caught on camera. 19 investigator Mike Mason breaking a story you'll only see on one station.
Justin Ballou has had a rough life. Not only is he homeless and has major health problems,
my cancer's getting worse.
He also lost his job after someone busted his bike during a hit-and-run accident.
A lot of things in my life haven't been right, so I gotta suck it up and just take it.
It happened in June of last year when Ballou was riding his bicycle past the Elyria Police Department. That's when he was suddenly struck by a black BMW, and the driver kept on going.
Went right through, did a rolling stop right on through, and just ran the bike clear over.
19 Investigates learned the driver was Francis Ross, a 30-year employee of the Elyria Police Department. We obtained surveillance video of Ballou riding his bike past the police department, and as Ross pulls out of the driveway, video shows she looks to her right, then to her left, and then she rolls through the stop sign, hits Ballou, and keeps on going. Ballou's bike is all bent up. He seems confused about what just happened.
The front forks were messed up, the wheel was messed up, and a little bit of the frame.
Ballou carries his Schwinn to the bike rack, locks it up, and walks inside the police department to file a complaint.
They said they'll look into it, but I kind of had a feeling they wouldn't because it was somebody coming out of their gate.
According to Ballou, officers told him the case would have to be investigated by an outside agency since it involved one of their own. But when nobody contacted him, he began asking questions.
The prosecutor told me there was nothing had been transferred up there. They don't have any record of the case, and Elyria said they didn't either.
In hit-and-run cases, drivers who knowingly leave the scene of an accident may face criminal charges. But in this case, Ross claims she didn't know she had hit someone, and records show she wasn't cited for the accident until 2 months later. In September, Ross went to court and was found guilty of failing to yield. She then received a $50 fine. Ballou says he never knew Ross was the one who hit him because nobody followed up on his case.
I mean, I'm not even mad at her. I just wish she would have stopped.
We contacted Ross by email. She replied saying, "Clearly I never saw nor felt the accident occur. I certainly would have stopped and responded accordingly if that were the case." She went on to say, "Once I was made aware of the accident, I attempted contact with the bicycle owner, who was uninjured, to offer to repair or replace the bicycle. Contact was unable to be made. However, we found Ballou's cell phone number was listed on the crash report."
She hasn't called me.
Never.
No. I would remember something like that. I've had that phone number for over 5 years. I even asked for a replacement bike, like anything, and they didn't. Well, we can't just do that. I get it. Okay. Thank you, anyway.
We should note that Ballou was riding his bicycle on the wrong side of the road, but he wasn't cited for it. The city tells us the case was referred to a North Ridgeville prosecutor. After he reviewed it, he determined that Ross should be cited for failure to yield. Mike Mason, 19 News.
Good morning, and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m. bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We're going to start it out being thankful that we're not bad apples. Can you imagine all these bad apples we report on? Stop and think they're sitting in jail, you guys. Most of them, many of them. This guy, well, he was. I don't know if he's still in jail, but this former Hooksett, Massachusetts police officer arrested on theft charges. Okay, he's bright-eyed. His name is Schleiden Manide. What a name. What the hell kind of name is that? Schleiden Manide was arrested on theft charges after being accused of wearing a ski mask and stealing items from Target in Hooksett. What? Okay. A former police officer was arrested on theft charges Sunday morning after an incident at the Target store in Hooksett. Around 7:30 a.m., police were requested to the store for a report of a man dressed entirely in black and wearing a ski mask who came into the store and was believed to have been involved in previous thefts. Lieutenant Valerie Lamy of the Hooksett Police Department said. Officers arrived and reported a man running from the store toward a vehicle in the back parking lot. Oh, no! Okay. After an on-scene investigation, which resulted in Target merchandise and a device to remove security materials found in Manide's pockets, he was placed under arrest and charged with a Class A misdemeanor charges of theft, willful concealment, and possession of theft detection devices. She said. All righty. That is so interesting, you guys. Okay, Manide was taken into police headquarters, processed, and released on personal recognizance. Tongue twister day. He's due in Hooksett District Court on March 27th for arraignment. The previous thefts remain under investigation and further charges may be forthcoming, Lamy said. Good grief, there's more. Manides, she said, was employed by the department between August 2019 and May 2023. He resigned as part of a negotiated agreement, sticky fingers, release program with the New Hampshire's Attorney General's office, she said. The resignation allowed him to escape criminal charges for misuse of state police online telecommunications. Oh, really? So he was doing all that. He was using an online telecommunications system. He was placed on the state's exculpatory evidence schedule on Lorry list and the National Registry of Decertified Knuckleheads. Before working for Hooksett, Manide was employed by the Manchester Police Department, according to previous press releases submitted to the patch. He was first hired in March 2016. He's a longtime knucklehead. Let's take another look at this goofball. Pfft, what an idiot. Okay, let's move on with the show.
Well, the Hanceville Police Chief, 4 of their officers and one of the officers' spouses are now facing felony and misdemeanor charges, with the charges ranging from unlawful distribution of a controlled substance, tampering with physical evidence, failure to report ethics crimes, as well as use of an office for personal gain. Now, in the grand jury's finding, they also linked the death of Hanceville dispatcher Chris Willingham to the neglect and mismanagement of evidence. Willingham died of a fentanyl overdose, but the Coleman County District Attorney could not directly confirm whether Willingham got the fentanyl from the evidence room, but when he was found dead, he had evidence in his office. According to Crocker, the mismanagement of the evidence came from a hole in the wall of the evidence room where multiple unauthorized individuals used a broom to gain access to the inside. All of the cases with mishandled evidence face an uncertain future.
Some of those cases are in the municipal court of Hanceville. Some of those cases, if they're felonies, are cases that we handle in state court. We are going to begin a review process of all those cases. We will look at those on a case-by-case basis. I am not optimistic about the ability to prosecute cases with tampered evidence.
In addition to the recommendation to abolish the police department, the grand jury also cited the subpar conditions of the jail, where they say Hanceville police had no ability to manage and keep a healthy, safe environment. Still unclear whether the Hanceville Police Department will actually be abolished. The Coleman County Sheriff's Office says they are preparing to take over the policing of the town if necessary. But the bottom line here is the grand jury says the Hanceville Police Department is a ongoing threat to public safety, as well as a riddled with corruption organization. Now, as you can imagine, city leaders say that they are taking these recommendations very seriously, and they do plan to have a city council meeting on this next week. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on that, so be sure to stick with Wade for any updates. But now I am reporting live in Hanceville with coverage you can count on. Georgia Clark, Wade 31 News.
The Hammond Police Department is being accused of beating a man during a traffic stop.
But the police chief says the accusations are false. Tonight, as that man recovers in the hospital, his family is demanding accountability.
Lily Cummings explains what we know, and we do want to warn you, some of these images are graphic.
Bobby McCaskey's family says the 63-year-old is in the ICU following multiple surgeries.
From the MRI reports, it showed that he had multiple strokes and his C-spine was crushed.
The family doesn't know exactly what happened before they found him in the hospital the night of February 10th.
The phone call we got that he was dead.
Hammond police say they pulled over a vehicle near Magazine and Apple Street that was registered to someone with an outstanding felony warrant. McCaskey and the passenger jumped out and ran, and officers chased them.
The officer says he believed that he was reaching towards his waistband, at which point he tased the subject. Upon tasing the subject, it was Bobby McCaskey. Mr. McCaskey hit the ground. Upon hitting the ground, he hit his head.
Hammond Police Chief Edwin Bergeron says officers rendered aid and called an ambulance. This video shot by a witness backs up that story, but it doesn't show what led to McCaskey's injuries. Bergeron says McCaskey has a criminal record and was in the middle of selling cocaine when officers stopped the car.
Although the injury is unfortunate, the false narrative that's been put out there that we had beat him or police brutality and all this other stuff, that's just not the case. If you don't run from the police, you don't commit the crimes, then you're not going to have this situation happen.
The family says McCaskey's injuries are severe, leaving them skeptical.
We were all relying on the body cam, the footage, to tell the story because he can't even talk.
We asked the chief when the footage would be released.
I'm not a believer in releasing that prior to our investigation because I don't want the investigation to be corrupted.
The family says until then, they won't rest. They believe officers used excessive force.
Keep posting, keep telling his story, keep giving the diagnosis and his progress from if it take 6 months, a year, 2 years.
Okay, you guys, anytime you see a cop mugging for the mugshot, he's going on the bad apple report because he's doing it just for you. That's why he's mugging. It's true. He knew he was going to make it on the bad apple report, and he did. This is a former RCSO deputy who's been fired and arrested on 2 charges. It says here, a former Richmond County Sheriff's Office deputy has been fired and arrested on Tuesday, according to the Richmond County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Addison Leroy Brown. Oh, his name's Leroy Brown, you guys. The lamest deputy in the whole damn town, who had been with the Richmond County Sheriff's Office since April of 2024, was terminated on Tuesday and arrested on charges of giving false statements in a government matter and violation of oath of office. I wonder what his false statement was about. Authorities said that these charges stem from an incident that occurred on Saturday, February 15th, and a review of his body-worn camera footage during an internal investigation revealed inconsistencies that led to this decision. He lied and he got caught on camera. Sheriff Gino Brantley states clearly that he fully supports deputies who perform their duties ethically and honestly. He does? Well, Gino, right on. You get a pat on the back, Gino. Look at you, Gino. However, there is no place in the Richmond County Sheriff's Office for those who violate their oath of office. Are you sure, Gino? All right. Okay, we're not going to read the rest of Gino's statement. Okay, we're going to just move on with the show. Thank you so much for being here, folks.
New tonight, a deputy with the Baker County Detention Center was arrested today for battery. On February 10th, an inmate at the facility told jail administrative staff that he'd been hit in the head several days before for no apparent reason. After being interviewed by detectives, Charlie Wesley Wright was arrested. He was terminated immediately.
We begin tonight with breaking news. The National Guard on standby to deploy to correctional facilities around the state as officers strike for a second day.
Never know if he's going to be walking out of work or running out of, rolling out of work on a hospital bed or an ambulance stretcher or in a body bag.
There's family and friends all calling for changes at more than 20 state prisons. Good evening, I'm Matt Malloy. Governor Hochul says the National Guard will mobilize tomorrow morning if that strike does not come to an end. State police already on the ground at some facilities trying to maintain perimeter security. 13 WEM's Carly Miner spoke with people outside of the Groveland State Prison in Livingston County today. Carly, good evening.
Good evening, Matt. Families out protesting today tell me working conditions at Groveland have declined even more so since the pandemic. Trina and her 3 children are just a few of the many family members protesting outside the Groveland Correctional Facility while her husband is working inside.
Because he works so many long hours, he's never home.
She tells me this is the second day people have gathered around the fire just across the street from the prison to show support of their loved ones.
He has been working 60 to 90 hours every single week, 24-hour shifts regularly. And I've really been a single mom this whole time. And it's really hard to be a single mom. That's not what I signed up for. I have 3 little kids.
Similar protests began Monday at Elmira and Collins correctional facilities. The Department of Corrections issued a statement Tuesday morning calling these protests illegal, and the department is dedicated to increasing staffing levels.
Inside the facilities are dangerous. They're not safe. Right now there's minimal staff in there. It's not safe for anybody. Officers, that's one of the reasons we left. It's not safe for anybody anymore.
David Washburn retired in June. He says it's not just correctional officers working these long hours. His wife is a civilian worker at Groveland who also is working extra.
They mandated civilians here at Groveland. I'm not sure if it's statewide for 12-hour shifts. I've been on the phone with several wives that are concerned about getting medication in, clothes, changes of uniform for the employees that are still inside. We're looking for safety. We're looking for better conditions. We're looking to spend time with our families.
Clara was another supporter outside demanding change for officers like her husband.
And he's working 16 to 24 hours. I'm 8 months pregnant. I haven't seen him in a month.
Protests have expanded to at least 25 prison facilities across the state as of Tuesday, according to state corrections.
I don't know when he's going to come home, if I'm going to get a phone call, if he's in the emergency room, not in the emergency room, you just don't know what's going on the inside, and they're not filling us in on anything, and they're not supporting anybody. It's terrible.
Now, the union that represents New York correctional officers says it did not authorize the strike.
I think we're going to call it a show with that. And today's the day we're going to find out the names of those killer corrections officers in the Robert Brooks case. And so we'll be reporting on those guys. So stay tuned. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. bright and early. Have a great day, folks.